Hello, this is Bridget Rao with Divine Essentials. Alright, guys, so we're going to move on to talk about the Blu-ray souls tonight. I've already covered like a lot of the different star seeds. We did discuss the indigos, and technically the Blu-rays, if we were going to go like in an order for myself, in my mind, how like the energies or the information is stored, Blu-rays come first before indigos because they are the first of the generations of these new souls who've been coming to the earth, or not even new souls, but just these volunteer souls. If you look into Dolores Cannon information, she has a lot of channeling, or not even necessarily channeling. She did a lot of hypnosis sessions with people, and she did this with people all over the world, many, many sessions, thousands of hours of this. People who didn't know each other, weren't connected together, didn't know anything about the other person's sessions, but would come back with a lot of this information that they were retrieving from an unconscious state. And all of them would have very similar ways of describing what she put down into this information of the volunteer souls. And they come into different categories. And the Blu-rays are like the first wave of souls who are incarnating on the earth at this time to help raise the collective consciousness. They hold a vibration and a frequency within themselves. Just by being here, they're impacting the planet. The Blu-ray souls are also considered the forgotten ones. They're the forgotten ray, because we think of the Blu-ray, and then you can go down that whole other route. So there's the Blu-rays, the indigos, the crystal, and the rainbow children, which have been like the ones that we've been hearing about. But I feel like there's newer ones coming in at this point, or there will be. Because these guys go all the way back into like the 50s and 60s energies, and then or the 50s, 60s, 70s, like people who had been born in those years. And then the indigos come after that. Now, I'm not someone that's very specific with the dates. I don't think you have to limit to that. Again, because I was born in 84, so I do have a lot of indigo energy, but I've resonated strongly with the Blu-rays. And then after the 80s and 90s, we have like the rainbow children, the crystal children. But we have like all these newer kids coming in at this point, so they probably would resonate under a different frequency or name. And again, this is just us putting 3D terms on things, but these guys are the forgotten rays. And when you think of rays, there's the magenta ray, this ray, that ray. So you can also go look into all of that too. Then there's the Shohans and the Ascended Mat. There's so many things, but we're going to talk about the blue rays, the forgotten rays. They are clearly going to resonate with the color of blue, just like the indigos would resonate with the color of indigo. And the blue rays are very well protected by Archangel Michael. And that was another reason why it was very confirming for me, or feels like I had a lot of Blu-ray energy, because as a child, I was never introduced to church. I didn't know anything about God or the angels or anything to do with any of that. I wasn't baptized. I wasn't Christian. I never stepped foot into any of those things. But when I was scared as a little girl at like 3 a.m., I'd be in my room and I'd be calling on Archangel Michael to protect me. And it wasn't until later in life that I was like, how did I even know who he was? Or why was I, you know what I mean? 333. And 333, you may see those things as a Blu-ray soul. You may have a lot of like, I feel like it's almost like we're tuned into a different level of awareness or consciousness. Because there's people out there that never see the numbers. And there's people out there that may see the numbers but they don't see it. They don't see that they're seeing it, or they don't understand that it's a message. And a lot of people have asked me over the years, what do these numbers mean? And my meaning for them is my meaning for them. Your meaning can mean so many different things. I had a discussion with my dad the other day about how, like, when I teach people about spirituality, I teach them to create their own spiritual dictionary, because me seeing 111 and you seeing 111 may mean two different things. And when I see 111, that could mean something totally different too, as opposed to like in 5 hours from now. It's dependent on what I'm thinking about. It's dependent on what's going on in my life. It's dependent upon if it's a message for myself or another person. When I would do my trance channeling events in person with people, I'd walk around the end of it, and there would always be people like, asking questions, and I keep seeing 888 or 818, and I would give them a boop about it, and then the next person, oh, I see 818 too, but that person's boop would be different than that one's. So all of this stuff is energy, it's frequency, it's malleable, it shifts, it changes, and what influences you today may influence you differently in another day. So try to, take what resonates, leave the rest with all of this stuff. Don't hang too tightly onto like dates and limitations and set book meanings. Create your own meanings, because spirit will speak to you in the way that it makes sense for you. Even if you're reading for another person, they're going to give you the image or the symbol or the number connected to what you know about it, so you can relay that to that other person you're connecting for in a way that makes sense to them. Like if they may think dolphin is a porpoise, right? And you may think dolphin represents like freedom and joy and laughter and high frequency. So if you see a dolphin coming up in their reading, you may feel intuitively that they need to include more freedom and more joy and more like, of that energy into their life. And they may just think porpoise, So allow yourself to be guided by spirit. But like I said, they're the first ray, they're the forgotten ray. These are the souls that often feel like misunderstood. They feel like people don't understand, and like they just feel like the out kid, like nobody gets them. They're on the outside looking in. They feel forgotten, and they usually find their voice later in life too. So it's like they come into this world and they're one of the first ones here to bring in and raise up these frequencies. So in the beginning of their life, there's not a lot of people who are open to that. You may have had gifts as a child that you shut down or were afraid of and disconnected from because nobody understood it, or they dismissed it, or they told you were crazy, or that it was just an imaginary friend, or that that's not real. And so you may have turned those things off. I can think back to being a child and different experiences that I had as a child. They like when they come into my mind. I'm like, those were experiences. I was having vivid nightly recalls of Atlantis. I was having like these weird dimensional shifts as I was walking through my aunt's yard. I was seeing severed heads and stuff, like crazy stuff as a kid. I remember there was a ghost at my dad's apartment house that threw a baby monitor at me, and the only reason it didn't hit me is because it was plugged in and it like stopped and then hit the ground before it would have reached me. And that's not the only experience I had with that ghost, but you would probably have stories like that. And then as you grow older, you turn those things down and you fear those things, and so they don't really like, you're not embracing them, you're not exercising them, you're running from them. But when the blue rays get older, they usually find more confidence and they reawaken the gifts that they had as a child. They reconnect with that deep empathy, and they also usually go through a shit show for a life. They're going to have a lot of trauma, they're going to have a lot of bad experiences, they're probably going to have parental issues, like you may have parented your parents, or you may have had addicts for parents, or you may have narcissistic parents, or you may have just not had parents at all. And you will become a very old soul very quickly because you have to grow up quickly. It's like they don't get the childhood. Everything that's fun and imaginative and all of that stuff kind of gets stifled away. And depression, think of blue, right? The color blue. It's kind of a depressing energy. However, it doesn't have to stay that way. As they grow and as they evolve and as they learn these lessons and as they free themselves and they create boundaries and they stop people pleasing and they speak up for themselves and they embrace their gifts, they can really transform their life for the better. So like the first one that I have for them is deep wisdom and clarity. They possess an innate wisdom and understanding beyond their years, often appearing insightful and perceptive. So people may come to you for advice. People may pour their heart to you, and they don't even understand why they did. I don't know why I just told you all that. I've never told anybody that. And it may be uncomfortable for you, but you may learn over years how to deal with it, like how to say the right thing to people. And you may even over time realize what's going to happen with people and put boundaries up and be like, listen, no, like you're not going to come dump all this on me because I know where it goes. I'm not going to be your dumping can. Like, you need to value your time and energy and all of that. It's okay to be helpful to people and empathic to people and supportive of people, but when people take advantage of it, which I feel blue rays that have happened a lot because we care so deeply about others, but those others that we're caring so deeply about don't return that back. They just take advantage of it. So we really need to either monetize our value and gifts, which I was telling my dad about this again the other day. I was like, back in the day when, our old lives that we lived as healers, shamans, seers, psychics, all of that, we weren't getting paid money. We were being traded and bartered, and we were being taken care of by our community. Like, people would provide us food, or like when he comes home with a boat. That's the type of stuff like that would happen back in the day, and it would be awesome to get a boat back then. But now, no, it'd be awesome to get the money that the boat's worth, because we gotta eat, we gotta pay rent, we gotta survive, you know. And that's like imprint that a lot of starseeds, light workers, and healers have, is this imprint surrounding, I shouldn't accept money, or I shouldn't charge for my time, energy, and all of these things, because it's a spiritual thing. And people out there get weird about it, like, how can you say that you're gifted from spirit but you're because I still need to survive on a planet that has now become based on monetarily, like, having everything be that way, you know, like, that's just how it is. Back in the day, you could be a shaman and do the bartering and all of that, and live beautifully, and the community would make sure that they were taken care of, because they were the wise man, they were the healer. You're not going to mess with your healer. It'd be like going into the hospital and killing all the doctors. In our day and age, you know, the people who really like go with that, I got to get my doctor, I got to get my medicine, oh, I'm going to run out. Those people would never think of blowing up the CBS. So why would you, you know, just ignore your healer? You wouldn't, not back then. But we also need to realize that money is energy and frequency, and that's all that it is. 1111. It's we need to look at it as energy. Like, this is an energy exchange. If this person wants 3 hours of my time to listen to all of this and make them feel better about it, and offer them cleansing and clearing and healing and readings and all of that, they're gonna have to pay for that. It doesn't have to be astronomical, but it needs to be like something that makes sense for those 3 hours. If you were gonna be working down the street somewhere, what would you make down there? At least make that, and then grow up your value and worth on those things too. So, a heightened sensitivity. They're highly sensitive individuals, and they easily pick up on the emotions and energies of others, which can be a blessing and a curse. Because it can. It's like, what people come to me, and I can see where it's going, or where it might go if I do this or that, and I don't want to live my life having to do this just because they may you know what I mean? But we end up doing that as people pleasers. We see 1212, like, we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to have our own boundaries. We want to upset the people that are taking advantage of those things, and sometimes we have to, so that we can take care of ourselves. And it is a curse to know that, like, this person in front of you that is saying one thing is going to do another. This person in front of you that you really want to believe loves you and cares about you doesn't. Or they do right now, but they're not going to as soon as you step out of that mold for them, or as soon as the veil is lifted or something. Because a lot of times, as a healer, a light worker, people are drawn to us, right? They see this light about us. They get like, ooh. And if you let them too close and see that you're actually a real human being, sometimes they don't like that. Sometimes they get all weird, like, just because you had a bad experience, you know? And there's degrees, and I'm sure the people that are here still, if you're a Blu-ray soul, you're going to know what I mean. That there's always this catch-22 with people, and that you can see both sides of the person, and you can see all the possibilities of where it possibly will go. And if you don't want to be out of your integrity, then that may be okay for living in a people-pleasing and just not rocking the boat. But if you want to be in integrity, sometimes you're going to rock the boat and you're going to piss people off. And sometimes it doesn't matter. Some people are just shitty people regardless, and they can't see that. And you may see that about them and need to listen to your strong intuition. They have a strong connection to the intuition and inner guidance, allowing them to access information beyond the 5 senses. So it may not make sense to you why you know something. It may not make sense to other people why you're doing what you're doing, or what you believe. Some people may think you're freaking crazy for seeing something and being like, this means this. But usually, if people stick around long enough, or they actually invest some, like, you know, let me look into this a little bit, they'll probably find the same thing. Or they will be surprised when you keep coming back with the, this is where it went. I told you. So, and that can be also a blessing and a curse too, because sometimes people get mad when you warn them about something and then you end up being right about it. They're like, sorry, dude. Tried to warn you. Like, COVID hit, I was trying to warn everybody about stuff, and they were like, they didn't want to hear it. Now, after the fact, why didn't you try harder to warn people? I did. You didn't want to hear it. We were shunned by the community. Shut out. Like, we were bad people for listening to our gut. And that's where that blessing and curse comes in, because I'm blessed that I didn't go do that stupid shit, but it's a cursing to know and see everybody doing it, and try to help them and be bleh about it, and then afterwards still have them bleh about it because we didn't try hard enough, supposedly. You know, there's weirdness around here in this planet. And then they're alchemists in transformation. They possess a natural ability to transmute negativity and darkness into light and positivity, contributing to global healing. And this definitely irks people, okay? It's that whole kill them with kindness thing. We're not trying to be assholes. We're not trying to kill people with kindness. We're trying to transmute negative bullshit that people do or the world around us. And it works when you are. Like, the more delusional you are, the better off you're going to be. Because you believe it and you feel it and you think it and you see it and you create it and it comes. But when you get around these negative motherfuckers that are trying to poke you and question you and tell you like otherwise, then it's going to be hard to transmute and be an alchemist in those situations. But it is, again, something you can do, but you need to be very mindful of who you're spending your time with, what you're listening to from others, and what you're thinking about your circumstances. You know, like when things go on in my life, I try not to look at it as it's going wrong. I just look at it as, all right, what is this teaching me? What is this showing me? Was I somewhat prepared for this? Do I kind of understand why? And getting upset about things and being like about them doesn't get you anywhere good. It just makes things worse. So when shit hits the fan, I was like, all right, we gotta clean up the shit that hit the fan. But we don't have to look at it as, let's make this a big thing. Let's make this 10 times worse. Because a lot of people do. Or a lot of people hold so much resentment and so much anger. And they can't make it a good thing. So they just make themselves sick. And they get like this ugh, you know. And it takes over people. I've seen many people fall victim of darkness and negativity. I fall victim of it all the time, and I know I change when I'm under that, like, you know. And so I try not to stay there, and I try to let that shit go so that I don't get sick, so that I don't look gross, so that I don't fall victim to the fucking that's on here, you know. And then feeling different. They may feel like they don't quite fit in, and having a sense of otherness from a young age. So again, these are going to be the souls that resonate with being a starseed, that resonate with being a little bit different from the status quo. They're not the 9-to-5ers. They're not the ones that are going to go along with everybody else just because everybody else is doing it. They're not going to go against the uniqueness that's within them, and that can be a lonely road sometimes. They're drawn to spirituality. They often have a natural curiosity and interest in spiritual matters, and they are seeking deeper meaning and understanding in the world. So you'd be on a video like this wanting to learn more about the soul, wanting to learn more about these ideas, wanting to explore them. Even if you don't take them on to believe them fully, you're going to explore what these beliefs are. You're going to listen to different spiritual, you know, talking, and the people over our ages, you know, you'd be drawn to that type of stuff. You're like, let me listen to, you know, the men of our ages that were philosophers and, you know, deep thinkers, and you'd probably be considered a deep thinker, and you may analyze a lot of things, which would also be creative expression. So they may express themselves creatively through various channels like art, music, or writing. So when you think of, you know, that type of deep thinking, a lot of times that can be expressed through poetry, that can be expressed through painting. You may be a very creative person and just know how to kind of make things beautiful, or take things that are not so great or not as beautiful and make them even better, and make it shine. And that is, again, alchemy. If you can take some rocks and make it into something beautiful, that's awesome. That's being an alchemist. That's raising the vibration. That's, you know, exploring this type of energy. And then challenges and intensity. Their sensitivity can lead to intense emotions and experiences, requiring them to learn healthy coping mechanisms. So like I was saying, when you have to go through these things, these heightened senses, a lot of times these heightened senses even just come from heightened craziness as a child, a lot of trauma. You get put into high alert, so you learn to use those extra senses, like seeing further than other people, being on your tiptoes, walking around like, is this person going to be normal today? Are they going to be a psycho today? And if they're going to be a psycho, let me, like, you know, people please, and avoid that catastrophe. So it puts you into a position of reading the room everywhere you go, reading everybody's body language, reading the intentions behind why someone's doing what they're doing, and reading the energy of where things are going and all of that stuff. And so it can be very challenging. but you may learn over time to not take it on so personally, and that's that alchemy. It's like, it's not ours to hold on to, and it's not our responsibility to be like solely like upset about all of the wrong on the planet, or all of the ego on the planet, or all of the self-serving on the planet, or all of the things on the planet that we see on a regular basis, because if we let that run, we will never get out of bed. We will just lay down and die out of the depression, because we genuinely care. There's people here that have somehow turned off that thing. They don't care as long as they're okay. If they're not okay, then they care, but they don't care in a way that's supportive or nice. They care in a way that's detrimental to others and self-serving and greedy and evil, and that has taken hold of our planet. There's a lot of that on our planet. So we need to look at those things and process them and transmute them and keep rising and shifting them and being a way shower for this other way, because that's what the blue rays are. They're here to show the way. They were here initially to anchor this energy so that the indigos could come, so that the others could come, so that we could continue to do this. And as you get older, you will get stronger, you will get wiser, and you will know how to cope. So they're very purpose driven, they have a strong sense of purpose, and they often feel called to contribute to something bigger than themselves. So you're not going to be interested in just the little mundane, weird things like, I got this new Coach bag, oh my god, or look at me, I'm so whatever. Those things won't fill you up the way that like doing something that matters does, like helping children, or like cleaning the earth, doing something that has like actual genuine goodness behind it, that isn't just like a self-serving thing or an ego boosting thing. You're not gonna really be somebody that needs that so much. And a deep empathy, deep sensitivity, compassion towards others, again, that would make sense for these people. Intuitive, heightened intuition, psychic awareness. You probably have like, just those knowings all the time. You're going to be connected with nature. You're going to be very connected with Mother Earth and care about the animals on a deep level. You're going to care about the animals, the plants, the rocks, the trees, the creatures. You're going to feel like everything's alive. And that's probably going to get heightened as you awaken too. I remember when I did the Munay key, I started like being like, oh my god, about everything. Like how much gas I was using, what type of vehicle I was in. All of those things got heightened, and I was like, I felt like a bad person for driving around in a Hummer that prior to was one of those ego boosting things for me. So it's not like we come out the gate perfect, like we're never gonna be perfect. But earlier years, when we shut down that part of ourselves, we can let our ego run the show. We can let ourselves be one of those people that's manipulative. And that's another reason why you may be able to pick up really easily on those who are still living in that frequency, or understand where their true motives are, or where their true intentions lie, or their true actions will follow, because you can just see it in them because you've had it. So healing abilities and inclination towards healing and helping others. There is a genuine desire to help the planet and help other people on it, and you will probably a lot of times have that to your own demise sometimes, like care to a fault, stick people too long, bat another eye to the point where you're it's like, are you blind? So again, those are things that we need to get better with coping on. They have the love for animals, a high vibration, emitting the positive energy, maintaining a high frequency. Even when you don't feel like you are, a lot of times you are vibrating higher than others, and others will show you that when you get near them or when they communicate to you. Because sometimes you could feel like you're really down and out and like, what the hell is wrong with me? And other people are like, oh my god, I needed to hear this, or mama da boob, you helped me so much. And you may feel like a hot mess, but you're still doing something for them. It's not necessarily about what's going on up here so much as just who you are and how you are impacting others on an energetic vibration. And then spiritual awakening, you're probably going to go through a lot of different awakenings. You may have a very intense one or several intense ones, but it's going to continue to happen throughout your life. You're going to be somebody that probably may have, abilities to read minds, telepathic communication. And it may not be like you're hearing exactly what they're thinking 24/7, but when someone's thinking about you. When someone's talking about you. When someone's thinking positively or negatively. And and it can just even be like through text. You can hear the way someone's speaking through text. You can feel what they're expressing through that. like, especially when you're close face to face with people, it's even worse, because people don't realize how much their face says without them saying it. Even people who know, oh, I have a resting bitch face, they have micro expressions. They have these little things that go on, the way that they point their body, all of that stuff. It's like those are things that I've looked into recently, like through analysis, that actually do that for a job. And the things that they say are things that I'm like, I've always felt that way about people doing that, but I didn't have like the technical terms for it. Now I hear what the technical terms for it is, and it's a legit thing. You're going to be somebody that doesn't need the technical terms or to go like explore the field of that to read a body language. You're going to pick up on it. Unconditionally loving, you're going to be somebody that still has that in you, you know, even if people have hurt you or wronged you, you probably still have some sort of compassion and love for them if you've once loved them at all. And then nonconformity, you're not going to be like, you know, trying to just fit in with the people around you. Even if you try to, you probably won't succeed. And you also are going to be kind of timeless, like a sense of not fitting into the traditional concepts and times. Like you're kind of just like, people may feel like, oh my god, you feel like you're a fairy, or you feel like this, or you, like, people get like these otherworldly things about you, and they may speak on it, or you just emanate this thing where it's like you're not going along with things that the culture's going along with, like the fads and what's in and what's out isn't going to be what influences you. You're going to be timeless, and you're going to be empowered. You're going to be helping others to be empowered. You're going to be a light worker, a desire to bring light and positive energy to the world. You may have dream recollection, like I was saying earlier. When I was a kid, every night I kept dreaming about the fall of Atlantis and seeing the whole scene play out over and over and over. You may have that. And right now in Pisces season, you may have heightened dream recollection. Like, I've been having daydreams that are so vivid. Like, I'll come home and lay down and close my eyes, and it's like I'm going through this whole thing in my mind's eye, which I don't normally do. And I was like, what the hell? And then I talked to my dad, and he's been having it happen too. Like, when he's not asleep, he's just laying there, and he saw a gray alien the other day, but he's been seeing other things. I've been seeing tons of stuff. And then I'm having dreams that, like, I had a dream that my ex was being a jerk to me, and he put like silver paint all over my head, and the bathroom that I was trying to use to like wash it out, like it was all clogged with stuff. And then there was another dream that I had that continued on, like days later. I went back to sleep and it continued on. So right now, under the Pisces energy, is going to be a time for enhanced remembering of that. But if you don't have those capabilities, they may come back. You know, they may enhance at different times of the year, or you may be able to help bring them on through, like, you know, practicing lucid dreaming, making sure that you're cleansing out any type of parasitic things. Like, whenever I take the wormwood, I get dreams again. I can remember my dreams again, or I start having them. I know we dream all the time, but we don't always remember them. But you may have the memory of them. You're going to be very sensitive to the energy fields and auras. You may read auras, you may see auras, and if you don't, you can. Okay, so you may want to start practicing on looking at those and exercising these gifts. You know, I feel like you probably have one main thing, right? Like, you may be very knowing, or you may be very seeing, or you may be very hearing, or you may be very feeling. Whatever one of those you can use to exercise and get stronger in the others. And then unconditional forgiveness, a willingness to forgive without judgment. So you may get upset with people, you may get pissed off, you may be like, what the hell, person's such a douchebag, but then over time you forgive and let it go, because you know that it's going to hurt you to hold on to it. To be mad at people or to get over about things isn't going to serve you. And you will know that. That's why it's like, it's easy to forgive, because the people who don't make themselves sick. And then altruism, a selfless commitment to the well-being of others. So again, if things happen in your life, you probably will try to look at it from the perspectives of others and want what's best for everybody, not just yourself. These people aren't going to be self-serving. They're not going to be, you know, all about themselves, and that's it. So those are the Blu-ray souls, and thank you guys very much. I'm going to go live on Saturday night for the full moon, and I'm going to do it at 11 p.m. because I picked up another flex shift tonight. I've been doing a lot of Amazon flexing, which is so much better than driving the van for them. I cannot believe how much more money I'm making in less time. Last night I made $70 for 8 stops. Tonight I had $92 for 28 stops. And it's crazy. Before, I was getting $22 an hour, and I was having like 250 freaking packages, and I was doing like 200 stops. 8 stops, 8 packages for $72. I was like, are you kidding me? They must have been making like $7,000 off of every truckload that they were sending out with me for $22 an hour. So, very grateful for that, because I'm already like getting my money back, you know. Because I took, like, when I left there, I didn't plan on getting sick, but I did. And then there was like all these delays with other things, but now I have that, so I'm accepting as many of those as I can while I grow these channels. And I did decide to start the other channel. I just want to like have some time to record and then have them come out one after another for that channel, which is going to be basically me teaching all the back end of this, like how to grow your YouTube, how to do this, how to do that, so that you can have a spiritual business in this modern day and actually have clients show up and all of those things. But I got paid today from YouTube, which you have to hit the $100 threshold to get paid from YouTube. So the fact that I'm getting paid from YouTube again is a good sign. It means my things are working, and I'm very grateful that abundance is coming. And I will see you guys on Saturday night by 11 p.m. I might be earlier. I finished every one of my flexes early, so it just depends on where I am. Sometimes they send me like an hour away, so I gotta drive an hour back before I can do anything else. So I will probably update on the board that night, but I will see you guys then. Thank you very much. Private readings are available on my website. Etsy shop has 10% off. I've got candles, I've got things, crystals, all types of stuff. Thank you guys. In Munay, namaste.